Dark containment. This power is only known to the Telerec. It is an ungodly power to hold within the palm of the hand of the spellcaster. A destiny of a person, object or whole cities, depends on the result of the magic. The spellcaster forms a dark shadow around its victim. Once enclosed or enveloped in darkness, he may do many things to the victim. The spellcaster's first choice is to shift the victim to another realm, thus locking them in a small pocket of spatial reality, forever trapped. Your second choice is to hit your victim with a blast of power, thus doing damage to things inside the enclosed space. The last choice is to will the shadow away like smoke, obliterating anything inside. Not even the divine intervention spell can resurrect anything that is destroyed in this manner, for there is not a trace left for the spell to work on. Casting the dark containment spell takes a toll on the caster's body. It may even shorten his life, if not done properly, for the amount of power required is enormous and must come from somewhere, perhaps the caster's own life force. Supplemental A. Shadow and Light. The great master Wu Fei was a descendant of the Ming dynasty. They were known as the Elemental Masters. He had a pupil he named Light. Light was hungry for knowledge and power. He was well known for his sense of justice. As overseer of the land, he grew to be a young man. One night long ago, a young boy came to the temple in search of food. He was a beggar boy of about the same age as Light. He was very talented, to say the least, in thieving. But, he was caught by Light. Light tried to apprehend him. The beggar boy matched Light's movements move for move. As Master Wu Fei watched, he considered that the beggar boy could be the prophesied child who would be the yin to Light's yang. The master stopped Light and told him that the beggar boy will be accepted into the temple and to let him feed, for he is hungry. He is now a welcomed guest and will become a pupil. The beggar boy was thereafter known as Shadow. Try as he might, Light could not match the natural skills of Shadow. Shadow was better than Light in every way. He is so talented naturally, that all the hard work of Light is eclipsed by Shadow's skills. As the great master was dying, he entrusted the two parts of the Ming eyes to both Light and Shadow for each to rule equally over the lands. But greed and his sense of justice made Light bitter. Light proclaimed Shadow to be nothing but a beggar. Light declared that he was the rightful owner of the eyes of Ming. Light tried to take the jewel from Shadow. Shadow was more skilled and defeated Light. Light took his defeat bitterly and was not seen for centuries. Shadow now possessed both of the Ming eyes and the land flourished. As time went by, Shadow is prepared to pass the great jewels to his son, Fire, and his daughter, Ice. In the meantime, Light has grown strong and has amassed an army capable of obliterating realms. Many people are in fear of him. He is the ruler of many realms and wants to return to his rightful place. This is the origin of the Great War of the Elements. Args. In this Great War, before man was created, they created Args. They were the first creation. They made something similar to a mold that humans today are formed from. However, the Args were given strengths and abilities humans weren't given. The Args were the downfall of the gods that created them. The Args took advantage of their ability to fight the ones in power. They were lured into false hope by promising them the one thing humans were given, but not given to the Args. This was freedom. The Args were created to be no more than slaves, carrying out the wills of the other gods at play. The Args had superiority in number and were capable of bringing down a god, for they were imbued with great powers. Their powers were much less than a god's, but enough to make a difference in the following war they made as a bid for power. Only a handful was left alive after the great war between the Args and the gods in power. Deflection. The prophecy talks of the three faiths of power and how they had infinite power. Each bore a power to guard their sanctuary. The first power is called containment, whereby one space cannot interact with another. The second is the power of shielding. This power provides a barrier which cannot be penetrated. The third power is the power of deflection. This power is demonstrated by any object or force being thrown back to its source or away from the intended target. Containment is rarest and hardest to find or come across. However, with deflection, some metals have properties of this power in certain amounts. To conjure such deflections, magicians need certain stones comprised of pure metallic ores, which allows their magical properties to be transferred and projected by touch. Although of different degrees, shielding is common. The more power behind the shield, the greater the protection. Initially, it was a betrayal which caused the power of shielding to be known by all. Just like a fairytale, a man fell in love with a woman. He later betrayed that woman to gain her power. It is not known how this woman came to have such power. She cursed with her dying breath that it was her power he wanted and that was the only reason for his love of her. She said, "Let everyone know of this power he wants so much. For it has brought me nothing but a cursed life." To appear to be loved and then find that it was only because he wanted the secret of my power. Curse such magic. Let it be known by all, so that I am not burdened with what hurt me so. Shielding sometimes fails because it is cursed. Containment is even more impossible to learn. Only a few have learned it. One man was successful in gaining the containment spell due to the faith's intervention. He gained one of the faith's favors. It is said that the faiths test people periodically. This man was so true in heart that he impressed one of the faiths and was rewarded with the magic of containment. Subsequently, this brought power and glory to his name as a mason. Every mason sorcerer is known for containment spells and powers of dimensional space which holds boundaries of realms together. Space cannot be altered, but can be penetrated and even phased out to create a trapped dimensional space. Manipulating space like this allows a magician to give it special conditions by magic and can even be destroyed if he wishes to do so. Masons pass this magic through birth and marriage. Outsiders cannot gain the mason's powers. Everyone knows the mason's story of sacrificing himself to save her when she is nearly at death's door, by sacrificing his life. What he did not know was that the woman was actually long dead and the woman he saved was one of the three phases of faith's testing his character. Impressed by his unselfish actions, the faith brought him back to life. The faith then bestowed upon him a parchment containing the spell of containment. Deflection was bestowed by accident upon a woman who bore a child. As one of the faith was strengthening the outer walls of their cavern, a flicker of magic was passed to the waters that fell nearby and the magic found its way to the woman who was about to give birth to a daughter. Deflection power was thence passed down to generations. The women did not realize they possessed the power, until one day a woman had an extraordinary experience. She was about to be executed for a petty crime. She deflected the executioner's axe as it was swung to behead her. She was able to escape by using her newfound powers. She later bore 7 sons, one of which became an alchemist apprentice. He later discovered his blood also had such powers, for he had been able to conjure this power himself. Knowing his history and his family's power, which he had inherited from his mother, he became famous, as were his brothers and sisters. His family was envied by all, due to their blood's capability. Prophecy. In the great library where the first carved tablets were stored and where countless premonitions are told, it is said that long ago there were countless gods who ruled the heavens above. Then came a dispute as to whom among the gods should rule and thus a great war was started. In the course of this great war 2 mighty weapons were created. One was a flute which had the power to suspend time in a great sleep. The other was a sword made from the tree of life. Just a touch from this sword would drain even a god of their power. 2 main factions of gods merged and then a third rose up to challenge them. Even though the merged factions had larger numbers in their ranks, they distrusted each other. Resultantly, the third faction won and gained power. The main leaders of the merged factions